everyone, and welcome to Roll and Keep, Phantom Tabletop's weekly show that's all about playing, teaching, designing, and learning about settings primed with the Cortex role-playing system. My name is Melanie Doucette, and I am the community manager for Cortex and the GM for today's show. If this is your first time with us, thank you very much for joining. We are very glad to have you here, and you might be wondering, what is a Cortex Prime? I don't know, but I'm happy to tell you because I do know, and it is a toolbox that you can use to play or create any genre or setting of tabletop RPG that you can conceive of, pretty much. As an example of that, today we are playing one of the ready-made settings you can find in the book itself, which is called Eidolon Alpha, and it is a Hellenic mythology fantasy setting with a little bit of kaiju thrown in for fun and flavor. You can learn more about it and about Cortex in general over at cortexrpg.com, and if you're lucky, you might win a digital copy here today. We're giving away copies throughout the show when our players here get heroic successes. What is a heroic success? You're sure going to find out, assuming I don't roll incredibly well and destroy their hopes and dreams. And speaking of the people whom I hope to crush under the foot of my luck with dice rolling, we have four wonderful players here. We've got Cortex Prime designer and creative director Cam Banks, writer, streamer, and game designer DeAngelo Murillo, community relations coordinator, game designer, and streamer Latia Jaquise, and RPG performer and variety streamer Sam Delev. All the business out of the way, I think we need to get into today's finale of Eidolon Alpha, Dekathlon. Previously, night fell in the Phoenix compound of Regnium, where athletes and important guests alike were sleeping, or in the case of our four endarchs, not at all sleeping. While Fios and Churro took in the sights of the city and narrowly avoided a fight with the Hydra endarch Kafaya, Minoa and Chryse were not so lucky. Leaning into the temptation of mischief, the two examined the strange wall from earlier that day and discovered it was even stranger than before. In moving it, something stirred, and an ichorous black corruption began to attack them, and Chimera champion Hector, who stumbled upon them looking for Churro. The two ran off and fought off the creature best they could, Hector going a different direction, another piece of that ichor following him, before they escaped into another hidden corridor, leaving the inky black thing stunned and unable to reach them. As Churro and Fios returned to the compound, they finished off the creature and finally got their rest. But as dawn rose not an hour after the excitement, Hector, Chryse, and Minoa remained missing, and the games began. After partaking in a drink from a ceremonial bowl, the competitors took to the Colosseum grounds and summoned their eidolons. Or at least they tried to. Only two endarchs were able to actually summon their eidolons, Churro and Fios. The other 8 around you continue to try and struggle and try to make something happen. You see Kafaya's face, the Hydra endarch, usually so stoic and cocky, turning to fear and panic and frustration, and she looks at the two of you and your incredible endarchs and is angry, and others are panicked. You see the wyvern teen is starting to cry. They can't hold it in. And an announcement comes up, voices booming over the fright of the crowd to try and calm people down. Maybe this is just a matter of, we've never asked so many eidolons to be summoned at once, to arrive at one time. We've never done this before. Perhaps there's not enough energy. Perhaps all we have seen is that only the most powerful have been able to do this. But the games must go on. Even if you are unable to summon your eidolon, you're still champions of your homes. And so let the games begin. And so they do. Everything is arranged. We have the Phoenix and the Chimera circling above, under the control of Churro and Fios. And the first competition is the discus throw. And Cam, I would just like you, I'm not going to have you roll. I'm going to let DeAngelo roll on this one. I would like you to describe to me how you think Fios would perform in the discus throw.
Yeah, a good call. Discus is not a thing that Fios has had like any background and training in doing, although he has a pretty good aim. He is keen-eyed, which means he knows where to place it if he throws it. And he is not weak. He's got a D8 bigger. So I think that he could probably pinpoint somewhere and toss it in that direction and mostly hit where he's going for. If it's about distance, though, who knows?
Are you using your Eidolon at all?
Difficult to try and draw upon my powers to do that because the Eidolon's up there doing that, right? So if you're asking, am I going to have this monstrous flaming phoenix with the head of a rooster and the body of an eagle that's on fire and mostly made out of wicker that's also on fire, come down and sort of grab my discus and just hoof it a bit longer? No, but I will have it flying overhead and looking menacing as I do it.
So you throw this discus, you get it ready, you throw it pretty well, but the crowd boos because they want to see these eidolons, and actually there's only 2 of them, and you've just done a human feat of strength. So you see they're not very impressed, and you see the manticore eidolon that comes, or endarch that comes up after you, who before had this maw of sharp teeth, and like it was an incredibly wide mouth. Like he still looms over you. He's still huge. He's still buff, but those teeth seem to have sunk a bit more in. They've rounded a bit off. Like he just gets this, the power that he had has somehow escaped him, and he glares at you as he passes, kind of hits your shoulder as hard as he can, angry that you've sort of wasted this power before taking his own throw, which is quite proficient. He's very, very skilled, but he doesn't have the aid of any special endarch powers. And then it is Churro's go. And Churro, because you're a strong arm grappler, I'd like to give you a chance to roll and potentially do something impressive here. I will also say that if you would like to use your Eidolon's power to assist you, I would give you a scale die, which is, for this, you would just get a D8 extra, but you get to keep 3 dice in your total instead of 2.
So I think Churro would do the honorable thing and default to equality. So if not everyone has their Eidolon, then he will not use his Eidolon either, and he'll just go ahead and do.
The crowd is so disappointed, but no, that's great. I'm gonna roll a difficulty for you. It's just 2 d8s, and it's gonna be like, hey, how incredible can you make this? Wow, I got a 5 with a good old 1 opportunity there. You have no current assets or complications right now, so you are good to roll and try to beat my 5. Can you do it?
Let's see, 5. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Vigor Warrior, Strong Arm Grappler, excellent, and 11, which is definitely better than 5. In fact, it's more than 5 better than 5, which means it's a heroic success. So there's going to be a giveaway in chat for that, and it steps up that effect die from a D8 to a D10. So this is incredible. You don't have any of your own endarch powers right now because it's all pushed up into your chimera, which you're not even using in this moment. So again, the crowd is prepared to boo as you let go of the discus because they are seeing that you're not really using the chimera. But what happens in that throw to be so amazing that boo turns into a cheer?
I'll just like look to Kofaya and be like, check this out. And then I'll take the disc and then just like spin sometimes, because he was training his whole life for this moment, but didn't really think he would ever get to do it. So he does some like street skills and maybe like does a flip while he's doing it and then throws it and then doesn't even look where it's going as he walks back, because cool guys don't look at explosions.
Oh yeah. You're walking back and it goes outside of the bounds that they had set up, even predicting that there would be eidolons assisting, because it is such a slick throw and it strikes one of these columns, but just at the right angle where that it bounces, hits another column, bounces back, and it flies over your shoulder going back the other way before it lands. Like it strikes into kind of like a wood pillar right next to Kafaya's head. She looks to it.
Finger guns. And then
And
Look.
she looks angry, but also a little into it. And we cut away from that to below Regnium in these dark, musty old caverns. The two of you, left hand on the wall, both using that Minotaur training to begin to sense your way through this pathway. As you move down a set of stairs, being as cautious as you can, you notice the farther you go that there's light up ahead, torches lit on the walls. So you now have enough light to see by as you make your way through this corridor.
Well, that's comforting at least.
Yeah, is there anything you two are doing or looking for as you move through this passage?
I think so. Minoa has been tense this whole time up until the point where the torchlight is. So Risa behind her can see her kind of like visibly relax a little bit. Because she's used, like, she can navigate in the dark, but she doesn't like it. And I think that she's just following the wall. And there's a point where she looks behind her, just like barely looks behind her to see like Krisa still doing the same thing. And I think very tentatively, because she said later, but she's so curious. She's so gosh dang curious. That she doesn't even know how to broach the question. So she...
Who do you think lit that torch? Krisa sees Minoa thinking and cuts in on it.
Cool. I think you see her even relax even more visibly to kind of break this tension. Like she doesn't have to ask right now. I have no idea. But if there are torches, that means that this is used more often than I assumed it would be.
Exactly. Looking around, do I see signs consistent with that? Or might this be something that is magically maintained? Do I see, cobweb through the door, heavy dust on my fingers?
Yeah, absolutely. You're a D10 scout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're going through, you notice the torches very quickly, and that gives you the idea to just look for more signs, and you do. You see footprints through dust. They look recent, so you assume that this passage wasn't used often until recently. Hard to place exactly when. Could be, I mean, some of these are definitely younger than a day, but some of them could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And the more you go through and you see, things have been kind of cleared out of the way, there's some rubble that's been moved, and then you get to an area that you put a hand up to sort of stop Manoa, because you notice a trap up ahead.
Ooh, fun.
But with that incredible skill as a scout, you trace kind of the lines of some wire to some pots that are up above to some torches, and you can see that it's been disconnected. That there's it's a pressure plate kind of trap. Somebody would step, these oil jars would fall, knock into the torches, create a fire. But you can see that where the pressure plate would activate the wire's been disconnected and attached to the torch, tied carefully to continue to hold the weight of those pots.
Vax, something between a day to a few weeks.
What I'm thinking. Like, this looks recent.
And what occasion could they possibly have had recently to suddenly go back into a hallway that seems, I'll just hear some of this dust, otherwise fairly ignored?
How long have they been preparing for the endarchs to get here? And what have they been preparing for the endarchs to get here?
Assuming it was the Phoenixes.
Assuming it was the Phoenixes.
Although, what self-respecting endarch, non-Phoenix, would find themselves here? And I'll just step over the pressure plate.
Excellent. You step forward, you continue to navigate. This isn't difficult. It's not, labyrinthine. There are, a few paths that go off, seem like, more escape hatches. There is just kind of one main path that will lead you to whatever this is leading to. And you finally get there after some time. You can now hear above you the raging sounds of a crowd, and you get the sense that you are directly below the events that are happening above. And you come to a stone door. Simple enough. You've seen many of them in your time. And again, you can see the traces of the dust having moved as the door has opened and closed. It's been used recently. Seems like it would be easy enough to deal with.
Won't Demetra be cross with you not being up there?
Probably. Like
That
there's
comes-
this look of kind of recognition because Minoa was thinking of introducing Demetra into the conversation as a way to confirm this, and she's just had her own feelings confirmed. So you may continue.
Oh no, I'm just saying that offhand as I start looking for the door mechanisms. You care that little about her disapproval then?
She's always been, I love her, but she's always been a little too close.
Too close.
Maybe that's not the right way to explain it. Sometimes I want to do stuff like this, and she wouldn't approve.
Think she's wrong for that?
No. Given what we got ourselves into a little while ago, it's justified, but...
The door opens as you find the way to do that and just slides pretty easy. Seems like it's a well-kept door, or maybe it's been recently, re-upped. And as the door opens, the torchlight from the hall is dwarfed by the light in this room. It's just torches across all of the walls and reflecting on treasure. So much treasure. There's gold and ancient artifacts and beautiful tapestries. And what else is in here, Sam?
There are items collected over hundreds of years, right? From all the other city-states. Ancient
Excellent.
ones.
Yeah,
that they can-
ancient artifacts from every city-state. And Sam, what else is in here?
It is part of the collection from other city-states. Minoa can certainly see Hrisa rapidly scan and inventory with a fairly practiced eye, but that their gaze locks on a pedestal that seems to have a pseudo-mechanical spider of some kind. Its use is not immediately apparent as an artifact.
Yeah, and as you are scanning this and you are seeing, and you get the sense too, Manoa, just with your strong senses of where things should be, as you are looking at this, you kind of both come to this pedestal that's maybe semi-central. Like this is kind of a rounded room, and there's nothing directly in the center that is a pedestal, but like to the back wall in the middle, there's just an empty pedestal, and you can kind of make out with the light casting down on it the dust circle of some kind of bowl-shaped something that was there. And in noticing that and kind of putting these things together, and you step forward, and maybe it was just the way that all of everything was glowing so bright it hurt your eyes. You didn't see at first the two bodies on the ground in front of you. And we cut back to above, where it is time for the pole vault. And the pole vault, in this case, I'm going to actually have Fios roll in this one. So, DeAngelo, I'd like you to tell me, as Churro goes up to you, something maybe I'll actually describe to you. The wyvern goes before you. And the wyvern teen looks kind of terrified. Like, this is the kid, like, they have the ability to stretch their body, you know, like Elastigirl style. And you can imagine that they were really excited for the pole vault because they can do some really cool things with that. But as they go up, they're 4'10", really scrawny, and they're like trembling as they hold this, and they go and they do it, and they get a little bit of height, but they don't make it over, and they just kind of tumble, and there's nothing really, there's sand to catch you. There's not, you know, anything particularly soft, so they do kind of crash and crumble, and they have to kind of be helped up, and then it's your turn. What do you do, and do you use your Eidolon?
I still refuse to use my Eidolon, but he will be like very supportive of everyone else, you know, because he's just excited to be there, and you know, he's just having a great time. And he'll be like, "It's all right, guys, you'll get him next time," and then he'll definitely, like, you know, get the chalk and get ready to go and all that kind of stuff, and then he'll run, he'll vault and everything, and then he'll do his thing. If it seems like there's any chance of him, like, maybe not getting it, he'll shapeshift a little bit to make himself the more ideal body type to be able to get over enough and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, so in this case, you actually don't have the ability to do that. You don't have your powers right now because they are in that chimera.
That's right. Okay, great.
But as you go over, I mean, you've got, what's your grace?
6.
6? You've got a 6 grace, and what's your vigor?
10. Yeah.
10. Okay, so you definitely get enough height. That's not a problem. You get a lot of height going over. It's just the, like, being in the air. Okay, now you're falling. Describe how that, like, you succeeded at this, but your landing maybe isn't that great. Describe it to
us. He'll be very flamboyant, and he'll be like, when he goes in the air and starts to crash down, he'll like immediately start doing like wrestling moves in the air or something like that, and then like just like make it a show. And yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so it is a bit of a mess. It's not graceful, but it does get the job done. You get over, and people boo because you did not use your Eidolon, and they are getting antsy about that. Like, there's just this rumble in the crowd. There's, like, again, there was already that unease and that little bit of panic because of what happened earlier, and you know, this is adding to it. So it's just, this crowd is really unsettled. Cam, I would like to have Fios roll for a pole vault.
So first of all, while someone else is, they're having their goes, right? Obviously, the wyvern's having completely devastated by their inability to do it, and Churro does whatever Churro does. Churro does best. Are there people from my team, so to speak, nearby or helping us, or is it just us and then nobody else around us but the crowd?
Yeah, so there are, you know, the seconds for people that are sort of in the area. You know, the wyvern got help from one of their friends to get back up. But, you know, the Churro doesn't have anybody. Hector is missing.
Yeah, is my sister
and yours,
around?
do you want to take a look around for your sister?
I do. I'm looking while they're doing their thing before it's my turn.
Totally. So you're kind of taking a look around. Let's do a roll here. I would love to do a roll here. And this is such a big crowd, and there's so much happening. This is definitely not the same as, you know, being up on a wall and watching, you know, farmland and roads. I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be 2d10 difficulty.
So I want to create an asset by spending a plot point. I've got
Absolutely.
So I'm going to.
And what is that asset?
This is I know her now, which is my sister, right?
Yeah.
I think I know her now. I've seen her from a long way off. I've been reconnected with her. I'm now interested in knowing where the heck she is. Her movements haven't been normal the last day or two, but I think she there's no reason why she wouldn't be here. So I know her now is going to be my asset for that.
I like it. So yeah, I rolled a 14, Cam.
Oh, yikes. All right, well, good news. I have a D10 scout. And the question comes up, is it reason I'm using, or am I trying to sort of assess whether she's doing something clever like hiding or not? Yeah, I don't think she's trying to be seen. So I want to try and use guile as my
All right, I dig it.
Keen-eyed warden of the borders is definitely my
Yep.
distinction. But that is it. And
The
my
asset
Eidolon
you
is-
just made.
Yeah, and yeah, it's fine. Actually, my Eidolon and I can communicate.
Yep.
So I want to get their assistance. Can I get their assistance?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it is flying above. You want it to help,
Yeah.
look at stuff. I think that's great. So we can add the we'll add the scale die that it's going to assist you with. So you get a D8 and you get to keep 3 dice.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay.
Because I mean, hey, you have a godlike kaiju flying above, trying to locate somebody in this crowd. You literally have a bird's eye view. This is very Assassin's Creed. You've got your bird out. Can do the little zoom in feature, tag somebody.
Clink, 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 clink. Except this time the bird is like 100 feet across.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not very stealthy, but it is very effective.
All right, I will go ahead and roll.
Ooh, and you still get another dice in there.
I'll just move that 6 down there. Thank you very much.
22.
So
I will just say, you have another plot point, right?
I do.
I'm just saying you could add that other 2 and have a double heroic success.
Well, now plot points are all gone now. So there we go.
You beat that by 10, so double heroic success. That D8 steps up to a 10, steps up to a 12. This is a raucous success. So looking out and kind of trying to pinpoint things and where she might be, you kind of see where, the other 2 nobarks are sitting on these, not thrones, but there are nicer seats that are kind of separated. You see similar things for other city-states. They have kind of these box seats almost.
Yeah.
Kind of look in those general areas, try to get a sense. What you do end up seeing as you look, you don't find your sister. You look and you look and you look and you can't find her anywhere, but then you see something strange that just sticks out to you.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, it's Hector. Oh, wait a second. And you see that it looks like Hector, but he looks a little sick. And he's sort of stumbling through the crowd and, reaching out a hand and touching somebody's shoulder and, touching somebody's arm.
Oh, no.
And as he does, there just seems to be that same unease and anxiety that has been going through the crowd just seems to increase. And you start to feel like maybe it's not what you're all doing out here that is affecting the crowd. There's something else happening out there. And because you had a D12, you can do something else with that information as you are called up to do your pole vault. What do you do?
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the Phoenix fly around in a sort of a ever-decreasing spiral out. And then as I run towards the thing with my pole and stick it in and then sort of try and vault myself over, at that moment, I want it to come down and grab me.
Ooh, I think that's easy enough. That is 100% within your wheelhouse with your D8 vigor, with the Phoenix being able to assist you in communicating with it. So that's what everybody sees as you go pole vault up, land on that Phoenix. People are there's a few people who are, oh gosh, there's something finally happening, but the reaction is not as strong as you expect. Well, maybe not that you expect, but that other people expect.
I don't want to end up on the ground at the end of that. I want.
Oh yeah, you are on the Phoenix, 100%. You are on the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Churro, you see this. You see as Fios does not do a normal pole vault, lands on the Phoenix, and the Phoenix moves away from the landing zones. This is not like an assist. This is something else. What do you do or think in that situation?
Like, oh, that's weird, but I support it. And then it's pretty cool. And I clap for him.
Excellent. So you're clapping, and Fios, are you going towards Hector or going towards something else?
Towards where Hector is, yeah. I need to get to him because I think something's definitely shady.
Absolutely. And people with this massive phoenix approaching this crowd, they need to scatter. They're afraid. They're like, wait a second, what's happening? And in that moment, as crowd clears away from this, and you just have this kind of divide of people who aren't running and people that have, and the people who aren't running are all behind where Hector has already been to. And you see that they're also moving, and they're also sort of touching and pushing and trying to get to more people. And that's when you, Churro, can see Hector at the front of this crowd, looking strange, looking wrong. And we cut back to below as the crowd has cheered and booed, and there's this sickening rumble. There is 2 bodies on the floor of this chamber. One of them is almost grayish black. It looks like it has melted into the floor, into a similar solution to that black, inky, sticky creature, but not moving. And the other looks not dead or melted, just unconscious, perhaps, and familiar as well, because Krissa, it looks like Penthesilea, the other siren captain. And they are unconscious on the floor of this room.
I kneel down and see if she's breathing.
Yep, she is.
Any sweat? Like, look, I know symptoms of things like poisoning someone to unconscious. I know I've done things. Can I get a sense of what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do a roll here.
Yeah.
I think just with your experience, you can have not just poisoning, but even just the rough and tumble world of piracy. This isn't too difficult for you. I'm going to put 2d6s in there, I think. And I'll roll those up. Oh, look at that. I got a 3. I got, I don't think, you do have that guard intel still. You haven't used it. So you could spend a plot point and step that up to a d12 if you wanted to.
I think I'm close, but I might spend it on bigger picture than the particulars. Particularly since I'm examining Penthesilea and not Melty Boy.
Yes. So go ahead, build me a dice pool. You have to beat a 3, so it might be a little difficult, but give it a try.
I know. Well, but also, does this feel like Scout to you, or
absolutely?
I could. Okay,
all right. I think you could reason Scout or Priest on. Actually, I think you could reason any of the 3, depending on how you approached it. But I think with you tying into your experience from what you do and poisoning and all of that stuff, Scout totally works.
This feels like Scout reason to me. Scout reason, cunning trapper.
I love it.
All right.
Ooh. Okay. Double heroic success again. So many giveaways in chat today. That is going to be from a D8 to a D10 to a D12. So this is incredible. You quickly notice, okay, no signs of poison. There's no discoloration. There's none of this. You check kind of like her tongue and like her lips and like the side cheeks and everything. You kind of pull up an eyelid. You check all of that, and then you kind of move her a little bit. You realize as you do, she's been moved. So you can see, through dust and some of the scattered, old coins and such, that she was at that spider that you were also eyeing, but she's been moved. And when you realize that, you kind of turn her over and you see that the back of her head, she's been struck by a bludgeon that has knocked her out. There's a little bit of blood, but it looks like the bleeding was able to stop. It wasn't a deep wound. It was just a heavy one. And because that roll was so good, You definitely get the sense that whoever struck Penthesilea probably was a little shorter. And you're guessing, typically somebody weaker, but just had the element of surprise. But you have an idea in your head of like the type of person that would have struck in this way.
I could rule out obvious non-matches.
Yes.
If I observed them.
Yeah.
I run a hand over her hair and lay her back down. And you fool, did you just want this because you knew I did? Why? Be careful. Someone was willing to do violence, but didn't actually grab what I would have assumed they came for. I guess they must have grabbed whatever that was, and I point to the empty desk
pedestal.
Yeah.
Where Minoa is, actually. Like the spider is too obvious because it's basically like got a spotlight on it that is like, look at me, I am gorgeous and beautiful. So it's too obvious.
It's the thing Abu grabs in the Cave of Wonders, yes.
Exactly. Exactly. So Minoa is over at the empty pedestal, kind of just giving that a little look-see.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you trying to get a sense of with this?
What may have been there? Like the impression, like this place is a little dusty, I assume. So there's probably like some sort of impression there. I just want to see if I can figure out what might have been there.
I dig it. Let's do another roll here because I love having y'all's roll. I think this is gonna be a little bit more difficult, but it's not super. It's gonna be 2d8s, I think.
Okay.
2d8s. Yeah, I'm not gonna add anything extra. So I got that. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a roll. I got a 9. It's a little bit more respectable. A little more difficult for you.
Okay. So I'm gonna go scout on this one because we're little Indiana Jones here.
Yeah, I would say I would also allow you to use priest because that's your kind of scholarly things and using sort of the context of these other tapestries and such.
Yeah.
I think scout or priest both work.
Okay. Then yeah, I will use priest because you said that I could.
Yeah, get that tasty D10.
Yes.
I'm not stop you.
I'm gonna use reason. And then I'm gonna use Minotaur and a pottery shop here. Because I love that distinction. It's so good. I'm glad I thought of it. And what senses apply here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, those senses. All right, good luck, me. Hey,
how come y'all are not rolling me any hitches? I would like to know. A 14, however, is 5 better than 9. So that is another heroic success. It sets a 0 effect die to a D10. And very easily for you, you get over there and you see the shape. And then you look up and you see you see the tapestries have been woven together. Like they found separate pieces over time and eventually were able to piece things together like a puzzle. And you start to put things together yourself. And based on the impression here, based on this tapestry, you're pretty sure what was taken from here was an ancient bowl of some kind. And looking at this tapestry, you can also get a sense of something that is almost prehistoric and dark. You see this black something with just these vague eye holes looming over someone, and someone holding a bowl, and this dark thing pouring itself into it, and then that same person killing somebody. You see just like, it's a tapestry. So there's like a knife and there's like a person and then there's like an arm that is not attached to the person. So it's very crude, but then it's like, that is going also into that bowl. And then it is creating a much larger thing of blackness. And you see as it expands at the bottom of this tapestry, kind of pushing itself into 10 different shapes around it, the Dekathlon. And you realize that incorrect carving that you saw on the wall before, you can see this looks similar, and it's just that each of them has been altered or interfered with in some way, taken over by something almost parasitic. And this is something that you have never heard of before, but looking at it, you feel like it is terribly ancient and terribly dangerous.
I think whatever attacked us may have come from here.
That would fit this one. Looks over at Melty Guy.
Does Melty Guy look? I guess old is the better word for it. Melty Guy doesn't look fresh, does he?
Well, it looks melty, and it's really hard to tell because the flesh has all just become this sort of black jello-like consistency, and just sort of it's in this gloopy pile, but the clothes that it had have not been changed. And you realize, especially, both of you actually have a pretty good knowledge of, like, the valuable things of other city-states. And so you can both recognize this as Phoenix Novarch armor, like warrior armor. Great condition, beautiful. I mean, you remember meeting Fios, and he had armor that didn't look like it fit him perfectly. This is like beautiful, and it looks like, even though this person's kind of like melty, like you can just see it in your mind that, okay, this was a Phoenix Novarch. Not that they are anymore, but they're supposed to be immortal. And as you make this, as you have this understanding, Penthesilea begins to stir somewhat. Where?
You all right?
What are you doing here? Did you?
Saving your sorry behind, clearly. You were taken unawares. I kneel next to her and help her up.
Who's this Minotaur?
It's their endarch. Show some respect.
Endarch. Hello. Penthesilea. I'm a little out of it. I'm sorry. Oh, was there anyone else here when you arrived?
Just the melty one.
Yeah.
What were you doing here?
I was beating you to what you were looking for. But clearly, now we've tied. So we'll just have to call this one a wash and try again another time.
Well, who beat you?
Well, I would just have to assume that it's, and you get a sense, Manoa, as she's speaking, that there's another energy that is kind of nearing. And it is the person that she's about to mention. So when the door just slides open just a little bit more, because this person is holding something wide that they need to have an actual fully open door and not just open enough that you two are able to slip in. You see the priestess of the Phoenix cult, the one that you had met, Manoa, the one that you were introduced to as the sister of that other Phoenix endarch, and she's carrying the bowl that you are pretty sure belongs in that space. And she stops. It's like, oh, you're awake, and you have friends. This isn't where the pottery class is. And we cut back above where Fios, you are flying towards Hector, and Churro, you now see Hector. Fios, what do you do?
So this is all kind of like this spur of the moment thing that he came up with as he saw everything come together. But I think his intent is to fly as close as possible with the Phoenix radiating heat on the crowd and making the ones who are not currently affected by whatever Hector's doing get out of the way, right? So that's the whole plan. And then as he's close enough, once he thinks he can get enough, and the speed is enough too, the sort of the velocity, he'll just jump off and aim straight at Hector.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like I was saying before, like everybody has started to clear out except for the ones that have already been touched and affected, and those ones are kind of trying to follow those other ones. But Hector stands more firm and looks up at you as you jump down at him. It's action reaction time, so go ahead and make your roll.
Cool. So I'm trying to do that sort of like sideways, two-dimensional, like the whole thing up in the air, zoomed out a long way, Zack Snyder style jump.
Okay.
All right. So that is going to be warrior.
Yep.
Courage. I think this is probably correct. I don't really know how
Totally.
this is going to land. I'm certainly not counting on myself to be stronger than Hector. He is a big guy. But this is all the Phoenix now. I'm doing this for the Phoenix Novak, so I will add my distinction for that too. I have no powers.
Nope.
Or anything like that. That D12 that I got before probably doesn't apply here, does it? Or does it?
The D12? I had given you a scale die, but because we are now kind of in action reaction, your Phoenix will get its own turn.
Correct. Okay. So in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and roll 3d8.
Give it to it.
Whoops.
Okay, 12 and a hitch. I like it. I am going to buy that hitch. I am. And I'm going to give you courage stress.
Okay.
Because as you dive towards this thing, and it doesn't move, it doesn't show any fear, any concern. It looks up at you and you just see these black eyes. And then out of its mouth and nose and eyes and ears, this blackness rises up in a wave to meet you. And you're already going. You can't stop, but that does fill you with a bit of fear. So a bit of stress for you. And then I get to go build a pool for this very specific version of Hector. So some base dice, warrior. And this would be bigger, which isn't great for him. But then I'm going to add your stress, and I'm also going to add the scale die that this thing has against you. And you had a 12, I got a 16. So it is, you are not going to succeed in this attack. So it comes up in a wave to meet you, and what happens?
I think that I can't control my descent. And I think it's just gonna smack me, like swat me out of the sky, essentially, right?
Totally. Yeah, it rises up and it literally just becomes this massive wave, almost like let's see, he's Chimera, so massive paw, basically, and just kind of whacks you out of the air and you go flying into more of the crowd. Churro, as you see this, what do you do?
I would have already like moved to try to help when I saw that the crowd was being affected, and Hector's there as well. But definitely when Fios gets knocked, back, that's when I definitely try my best to go into like super mode and just try to head up there as fast as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do a test here. We'll do a test, and you're going to create an asset out of this test to represent like how much time and like everything that you've gotten by how fast and effectively that you've gotten to this place. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 d8s, but I'm going to add an extra d8 to represent how difficult it is to move through this crowd that is in full-on panic, or they are in full-on like Skotos stupor. So I'm rolling the dice, and it is an 8 for you.
8?
And for you, with this is a test created asset, so whatever your effect die is here will be the size of asset you get.
Okay. Can I use warrior to try to use my athleticism to just try to like push my way through this crowd?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then I'll go and do vigor that way.
Hurdles was next anyways on the list. So.
And then let's see here. I don't really want to grapple people out of my way because they're kind of like bystanders. You know what? I will do this. I need another plot point, so I bite my thumb at the for a plot point, just kind of like, everyone move. I'm trying to, like, do stuff here. And then but no one really listens to me at all. And I'm shorter than everyone, and yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to bring that big boy energy, but when people are panicking, it doesn't work as well.
They don't care. Yeah, my hair's getting messed up, so it's not a good scene. So let's see what it is. So 11 with 1 hit. Yeah.
Not great. I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm gonna give you. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna give you some grace stress. So you get a plot point, and then you're gonna add a D. It doesn't start at D6, Cam, correct?
Yep.
D6 grace stress, and this is representing as you're going through, like, trying to push against this crowd, because of your size, you get knocked back and fall, and you kind of get like stomped on a bit, to the point where, like, you're tough, like you can fight it off, but it does make it, like, as you get back up, it's like, oh gosh, my ankle, oh gosh, makes it a little bit harder to move swiftly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because your effect die is a D4, you succeed here, but you only got a D4 effect die.
Yeah.
So that's not a good asset. You do get it though, because if I roll an opportunity against you, you can spend a plot point to step it up.
Yeah.
But that's just going to be a D4. This is represented. We're going to call crowd surfer, because why not?
That's fine. I lose my shoe. My hair's messed up.
It's great. And we're going to come back for the Eidolons' turns in this as well, since you both have Eidolons. But we're going to hop back down below as Fios' sister. Fios, can you remind me of her name? Magdalena, is it?
Yeah, Magdalena.
Okay, good. I was like, did I forget? Okay, Magdalena stands there, just that same, like, customer service smile on her face, but you can tell she's kind of calculating in this moment as she looks at the three of you. This is definitely out of bounds, but I'd be happy to escort you back to an area that you are supposed to be in.
Did you kill the Phoenix Novarch so that your brother could be the new one?
Flat out.
No, actually.
Really?
No, I mean, sorry, can I put this down? It's really heavy. And she walks past you both and places the bowl back. And she reaches up and touches that tapestry really gently. You see, she's probably the one that has put that back together with just this almost motherly like care that she, like, touches it with. And as she does, and, like, the sleeve of her chiton rides up, you see this armband on her that is, like, this just pure black, like blacker than obsidian. And there is a similar blackness that is just kind of growing out of it. And it looks like it's so tight that you can, like, see that this armband is, like, cutting an inch into the skin. And she turns back, she's like, yeah, so no, I mean, I haven't even seen him in a really long time. And that wasn't supposed to be what happened. But I guess that's just, we take the blessings we receive, right? It was just the kind of power that Skotos needed to come back. So, the good thing is, for both of you, is that it's too late for you to stop anything. But I really don't want to have to deal with you either. So I don't know, I don't know what we're going to do here.
It's a good thing, then, that I don't feel the same reluctance. I'd like to pull out my dagger.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. You pull out your dagger, and I mean, she's currently, like, she's pretty not really doing anything in particular. What are you doing? Are you just going in for an attack? We're just intimidating at this point.
I think we're gonna just give it just a touch more intimidation before we go to work. So I would like to get up very close and get the tip up to the throat. if I can.
Sweet,
If that
yeah.
provokes initiative, I fully understand it as a knife at her throat.
You
But
can
it's just calm as
definitely-
you please. Just step, knife.
I think this is a contest. So you are trying to kind of get into this advantageous position and intimidate her. And she doesn't want you to do that. So she wants to try and do something that is going to stop you. So you're going to roll first in this contest. It'll go back and forth until somebody loses or gives in.
All right. Sounds good. This.
Can I assist?
So yeah, with a contest, there's a couple things. You can interfere,
Sure.
which is like, I want a different, ending to this than both of you want. Or yes, you can assist by doing what we were doing earlier, to give her one of your attributes that you are using to help.
Yeah, I would like to assist by giving Teresa guile.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I have been I don't know, I feel like all of these old artifacts in here, I can probably eyeball a couple of them, figure out what they might do, and like, I don't know, intimidate somehow.
Yeah, totally. So you some guile. You're sort of you key in on some other things that you realize through kind of the style of this tapestry and the style of the bowl that you think are also connected to this thing that she referred to as Skotos.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think, okay, maybe you can sort of threaten one of those things in order to make her focus go to you instead of go to Krista.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your guile, die?
It's that's D10.
Sweet. So an extra D10 for you.
All right. This for me feels like Scout Guile.
Totally.
And
You're like kind of sneaking up on her as she's like romantically fondling the tapestry.
yes, this feels extremely. And I think this is Cunning Trapper.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
dig it.
Let's go.
Ooh, 13 with a D12 effect die. That is okay. That's a little scary
Okay.
for me, but okay, D12.
I don't know.
13.
I've heard about how you roll.
It always depends, right? So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and grab base trait 2d8. She's using her, to really like sense that you are approaching in the same way. I think this is going to be her scout as well, which is her middle one at least. She's not a good warrior, just if you couldn't tell from just herness. Her attribute will be her, this is her guile, I think, as well, which is a 10. And then she has a scale die of a d8 because of this Skotos power that she has let into herself. So I get 3 dice in my results, but I did roll a hitch. So you can buy that to step up that, you have that guard intel asset, or you can just leave it.
Yes, I will take. I will step that up then. I
So
think
you got a
that's a
D12 of that now, and I got an 18 with a D8 effect die. So you have a choice. You can either roll again and try to get higher than 18, or you can give in, and she's going to get what she wants. So in this case, you're kind of sneaking up behind her, and she's using these little like blots of this slime, especially on that body that she connects to and can kind of like sense out of. And she wants to use that to kind of get instead like advantage against you. So if you give in, she's going to get that, but you get to define the terms. You get to kind of narrate the exact situation that you're put in, and you get a plot point. Or you roll again and you might lose and get stress.
No, I will stay plot point neutral, spend to buy the hitch and bump up the guard intel, and let her I don't exactly get the drop. I think as the knife goes up, she has the reflex to knock it away.
Yeah. So yeah,
the dagger's out of the equation for the immediate moment.
Cool. So yeah, she reaches up and kind of like turns to meet you. So like kind of wrist on wrist, the knife moves, and you see like from that armband, just like this blackness has gone up and like kind of to the tips of her fingers. Like it wasn't her that reacted that quickly. It was the thing inside of her. And she turns and she smiles and kind of reaches in and grabs your wrist. Like I said, it's too late. And you can hear the screams from above now. And we cut back to Fios. It is the Phoenix's turn. Because your Eidolons get turns too.
It's great. Because they're
Technically,
big
I did the order a little differently. Usually it's like you and then your Eidolon, but I was like, let's split it up. And, we'll do people, then Eidolons in the next go.
It's cool. You got tests, you got contests, you got actions, you got reactions. It's whatever it needs to have whenever.
Yeah, so is the Phoenix doing anything?
Yeah, Phoenix is it doesn't like that. I think that in general, the Eidolons, the great Eidolons, know the badness when they sense it, right? Even if the endarchs themselves don't. And the most successful thing that we've had happen so far is purifying the stuff with fire. So sorry, Himbo, but it's fire breath time.
So let's this is our first Eidolon dice pool.
I mean, the thing is, but prior to this, right? It's Firehouse doing this stuff, but he's just been tossed aside into the crowd, and he's whatever. And I think that the Phoenix is like, nope.
Yeah. So this is very special because you're starting with a 2d8 base trait. So you have 2d8s in that pool. Then, if you are using one of the powers of that Eidolon, sounds like you're probably using Fire Breath. It's a d12 for that.
Right.
You get that scale die. I mean, Skotos is going to get it as well, but you do get to add 3 dice, which is way more fun. And as well, then you also have an attribute that you are using from the Phoenix. It has d8s and everything except for the 2 highlight traits, which I believe were Vigor and I'm going to find it.
Guile, I think. Or not.
Thanks. Phoenix. Let's see. Grace and Vigor. So you have Grace and Vigor are your D12 attributes for the Phoenix and D8s for everything else.
We're going to call this just like the blunt force application of Fire Breath. So we'll put Vigor in there. And that's a D12,
I agree.
right?
Yeah. A D12.
That's right.
D12. So you got 2 D12s. You need 2 D10s for your base trait too.
Oh, 2 D10s.
Yeah. The D8's just for your 1 D8 for your scale die.
Right. 1 D8 for scale, 2 D10s for base.
Yeah. Just a pile of dice. We got.
Oh, wait. Yeah. So 12, 12, 8, 10, 10.
12, 12, 8, 10, 10. That looks correct to me.
And I keep 3.
Yeah, 12, 12, 10, 10, 8. Keep 3 of them in your total. This is why I love Eidolon Alpha, because you can get wildly high numbers.
So, assuming I don't hitch them all, which would be hilarious.
No hitches.
Move that 4.
21.
And a D12 effect die.
Blowing this fire down onto the I lost where Hector was because I looked at that other thing. Onto the Skotos infected Hector. And that is going to be for Hector, base trait of 2 D8s. And this would be, at this point, I think this is going to be Warrior for Hector and this Skotos thing inside of him to like straight up, this thing is going to try to create this like Skotos shield almost and just absorb and infect the fire that you are throwing down on it. So a D8 for Warrior. And then it has, for Hector, it has, I think this would be Vigor, which is Hector again. He's a champion, but he would rather be a vet. So his Vigor's only a 6. And I get a scale die. Oh, I forgot to add your, wait 1 sec. I didn't add your stress. That's fine. I'll leave it. I'll leave it for right now. I didn't, but it's okay. I got a 14, which is going to be 5 less. Well, 6 less, technically. 7 less, 7 less. I'm good at math. That's why we have tools that do this for us. 7 less than what I had. So that means that you have a heroic success. You already had a D12. So you propagate an extra little D6.
Mm-hmm.
So I will tell you that you can target the Skotos infection to get rid of it with one of those dice if you'd like.
I'll apply the D12 to the Skotos infection.
Excellent. And then the other D6 will be some kind of stress to Hector.
That will
Or, I
be-
mean, something else if you want to create an asset, perhaps. But
No, I want to apply that as a vigorous stress to Hector, like just the shock of having it burned out of him.
yeah, he's shaken. As this fire from the Phoenix, of all things, this massive city-sized wicker phoenix blows this fire down, and this black ooze jumps up and creates this like orb, half of an orb of like awful, disgusting shield. But this fire just burns through it almost in an instant. And then as it does, like you can hear first this of the Skotos, and then you hear just the of Hector as some of it gets him as well, and he has these burns kind of across, this half of his body, and he crumbles, but he is no longer infected. And as a part of this too, as this fire goes out, you see all of the people that he touched. It's almost like he was a source. And you see as it begins to clear out of these people, and people start getting sick everywhere, just like vomiting black ooze. But as they do, that ooze like burns up as well. Like people are screaming in pain, but as it exits their system from this cleansing of this fire, there is like a, oh God, thank the Eidolons, thank the Phoenix moment of relief. And Churro, your chimera, you can now see as Hector is injured, no longer seeming to be infected. You see as people around you are also seeming to start being cleared of what they're feeling. And you see some of the other endarchs are thinking, okay, maybe this is what it was. And they try to summon again. They try and summon. And as they do, you all hear a rumbling. And by all, I mean all four of you. Because below where Magdalena holds your wrist and that tendril moves up, it then moves across and is beginning to cover her more. And as these other endarchs attempt to summon something that she has taken from them, this power envelops her, and she begins to grow and be covered in this horrible ichor, and she grows and she grows, and as she does, she burns through like an acid the ceiling above, and you can hear the panic from above as the entire Colosseum begins to collapse into a sinkhole of ichor. And now you can see the Phoenix, the Chimera, and this ooze that is this massive kaiju-sized ooze going to attack everyone else. And Krissa, you are still being held by it. So you are up there as well. Churro, though, it's the Chimera's turn. And you see this sinkhole appear, and then this disgusting creature rise. You see that pieces of it, you see like, a hydra head in one place. You see the teeth of a manticore sliding down the side. You see a lengthy limb like a wyvern holding Krissa at the end of it, the siren endarch. What do you do? What does the Chimera do?
I think that since the Chimera and Churro are linked mind-wise, the Chimera would definitely default to doing wrestling moves. So it would definitely like jump onto the stands and get to a highest point, and then just like jump off of it to do like a leg drop, or I guess a 4-leg drop. And yeah, or like pat its elbow and then like drop the elbow. All the way down.
Yeah, and maybe can I throw out there that maybe it kind of goes into a bit of a spin as it goes down into sort of this pile driver move. Absolutely, and it becomes this like flaming torpedo down into the ink, the Skotos. Let's deal the dice. Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna go to that top dice module on the top right, because these are all gonna be dragged in.
Yeah.
So you get 2 D10s first.
Okay, D10.
Yeah, and would you like to use shape-shifting, fear, or fire breath?
Let's do fire breath. I think it would be.
Yeah, so add a D12. This is my favorite part. You get a D8 of scale, so that means you're going to get 3 dice in that total. And which of the 5 attributes do you think this is using?
5 attributes. I think it would be vigor. I think that would be
vigor, and I think, let's see, Chimera is in the book. It's Grace and Gal. So you get a D8 for
Okay.
vigor.
So
and
2d10s, d12, and a d8?
and another D8.
No, d8. Okay.
That's for your scale. So just a lot of big dice, and you're going to get 3 of those in your total.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see how it goes. Got a 13.
You can either pull that 5
wait,
over
yeah.
and use the 2 for your effect die,
You know
or
what?
you can
That's
put
a
the
good
2
idea.
down. Either one is good.
Yeah, I'll do
Excellent.
that. So I'll get 18. Yeah.
Cool. I'm not going to buy that hitch. I'm going to leave that there. I don't think the Chimera is going to take any. Ooh. Yeah, it is. I lied. I'm buying that hitch. You get a plot point because I'm going to give the Chimera some vigor stress. So a D6, just mark down a little notepad or note document. A D6 of vigor stress because as it goes into this thing, like this is the most powerful form that this thing has right now. And so it's kind of like the meeting of these two powerful forces begins to kind of corrode some of the magic of your Eidolon in this moment. And I'm going to roll for this girl. She gets 2 D8s, then she gets she's switched to this now, so she's getting that for warrior, and she's getting, which this is defending against this, I think is vigor, so that's going to be an 8. And then an 8 scale dice. I got 4 8s and a 10, plus you have a 6 vigor stress that I'm adding. So that's my pile of dice. I'm sticking to it. I also got an 18, but here's the thing, in Cortex, you got to beat it to yeet it. So this did not beat it, which means that your action is successful. But my effect die is higher. So I get to step yours down to a D6.
Okay.
And so you can either apply this as a specific kind of stress on one of those attributes to this creature. Again, if you, like when you had with Kofaya in the first session, if you get one of them to above the level that it is at, they are shaken. They can use 1 less die in their pool, in their total. If you get 2 of them, they are stricken. They're out.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you can apply this to the Skotos infection itself.
I'll go with the Skotos infection, I think, itself.
You get to step that down. That is currently at a D10, so now it is at a D8. So describe this, because you succeed in this, as the Chimera comes down on this massive creature that is made up of all of these different bits of Eidolons. What does that look like?
I think at first it would be the wrestling move of dropping elbows or whatever, and then as it lands, it just goes full feral and bites and scratches and like all that sort of thing at this huge thing. As I guess the Phoenix is also like on the other side, like blowing fire and flames into it. So yeah.
Totally.
As Chiro looks over to Fios and is like, "Hey, even our things are friends. Well, that's cool." Yeah.
I love it. So you tell me who is next. So you've gone, Fios is gone, the Phoenix and the Chimera have gone. We have Krissa, we have Minoa, and we have the Skotos creature. If the Skotos creature goes at the end and it is still around, it chooses what goes first in the next round. So it's your choice, DeAngelo. What goes next?
Minoa, I think.
Okay, so Minoa, you are at the base of this. Penthesilea is there as well, as this thing begins to kind of whirlpool up and above into the Colosseum. You can see the Chimera and the Phoenix fighting up there, and you can see as Krissa gets pulled up as well. What do you do?
I'm going to actually head to the tapestry.
Okay.
Because there's got to be something on this tapestry that does not only get into how this thing was created, but also how it must be destroyed.
Okay.
And I do believe I don't know if it was just for last session, but I got an asset called I Belong Here.
Yeah.
And this is why
I said
Minoa
till you used
is
it,
here.
so you haven't used it yet.
Yeah, so
I love
this
it.
is why Minoa is here. Rumors about this thing have been circulating across all the city-states, and Demetra knew that Minoa would be able to find it.
Hell yes, I love it. Okay, this is gonna be kind of hard though, because again, this is, they don't want to make it obvious how you get rid of the things. I got a couple of D10s here, and And I'm going to just add a D8 representing Magdalena's efforts to kind of conceal this as well. So
Sure.
2d10s and a D8 will be what I'm going to set as a difficulty for you. 14. I got a hitch, though. If you have plot points, you could buy that and step up that I belong here to a D10.
Yes, I have 1 plot point left, and this is what I'm going to spend it on.
Yes, now I got a D10. Build us that dice pool.
All right, so we'll start with that D10. I belong here. Priest, because I've been training my entire life. Reason, I've been training my entire life. Eidetic cartographer.
Yeah.
This dice pool is called I've been training for this my entire life.
Literally, yes.
And
is
then
my
senses.
stuff.
Right.
I love it.
Let's go.
Ooh, 15 to my 14. It's exactly what you needed. So you you look at this tapestry and you can see before, you weren't really looking at the little details on the edges. You were looking kind of the main picture. And as you look now, you can see this isn't complete. There's absolutely something else. And the reason that you piece that together is because this was made by Minotaurs. This was absolutely made by Minotaurs. This is some, definitely far, far in the ancestral line, but it is in a language you're familiar with that you studied so long, and you can see where pieces of it are missing. And so okay, there has to be more. Hopefully they're here and not somewhere else, not hidden somewhere else. And so you start tearing this place apart, using your senses best you can to look at the places you expect are going to be the ones. And eventually you do.
Literal Minotaur in a pottery shop.
Yes, just wrecking this. And Penthesilea is like, okay, I know this is bad, but this stuff is worth a lot, and is trying to save stuff as you throw a pot and she tries to catch it. Just trying to preserve something that she can make some money off of, or that she can just have. So she's trying to get that as you're just tossing and pushing and pushing. And finally you find a few scraps of tapestry that have not been attached to this. And taking the time to put it into place, you're able to see that yes, there is a way to do this, that it needs to be these eidolons, that it needs to have this removed from it. And you recognize that armband pictured, that was something that was their solution, that they trapped it inside of that and they hid it away. But somebody found it and found all these tapestries and found everything that they needed. So it either needs to be trapped, which would be easier, and you think, okay, probably, yes, we can do this, or destroyed, which would be much harder. But either way, you think you can solve this problem. And you also get, you had a D10 effect either, you get a D10 asset, which,
nice.
We'll call that Skotos' Bane. And who goes next, Krissa or Skotos?
Do I choose?
You choose.
Krissa, please.
Excellent. So you are currently held in the muck up above. What are you doing?
I would like to escape the muck.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you want to do that?
Kick off of what is holding me and fall into the nothing, because of course I can fly.
Yeah, you can definitely try. Imagine this kind of like Mononoke Hime, like just the awful, almost leech-like bits that are kind of pulling you back in, trying to keep you in there. So it is pretty difficult to do this. It's going to be these 2d10s. What is it? It's at a d8 for that scale. So it's going to be 2d10s with a d8 of scale to try and keep you inside of this thing. It's a test to do that. So I'm going to roll first for difficulty. I got a 12 for you to beat.
All right.
I could have rolled way better.
Cool story. Does this feel like Scout or Warrior to you?
I think this is going to be, I think you could reason either Scout or Warrior, because it's either that you're trying to move quickly and predict something's movements and, use that kind of hunter idea, or you're just trying to break free physically. It's more Warrior.
I do feel like Scouts have a certain specialization in getting out of sticky situations.
Totally.
And,
we've all prepared our whole lives to deal with quicksand. It's kind of like that.
Yep, exactly. 100%. I do, and I think Grace.
Yeah, I like it.
And I am a siren because I'm trying to kick out into flight.
Yeah, get that flight die in there too.
All right, there we go. I think that is. I think that's what I got. Still,
I love it.
let's find out if I do. I don't.
Do you have any plot points?
Yes, I have 3.
If you spend 2 of them, you can succeed. Because you can move the 3 and the 2 over.
I do. I do that. Yes.
Excellent. So that's what the plot points are like. I'm taking control of the narrative for a second. I want something different to happen. You got a 13 instead of a 9. So describe this as this thing is literally trying to pull you back in. What happens?
So you tried to kick off of something that is sticky. With what? A thing that is sticky. And on top of that, a thing that is sticky. And so in pushing and trying to escape, ultimately, one does not extract oneself from being covered in it. One can at least taffy-like stretch it and use the gravity of it, and then as it's starting to pull, Risa will just slash through as claws will grow from the ends of their hand. They fall back, and the owl feathers cover their back, and they'll fly off.
Amazing. So yeah, you get out, cut it, snap. You've managed to fly out of it, and now you can see this bird's eye view of this wicker phoenix, which is, blown by. You see Hector on the ground, just this cleared space around him that is just burned and charred. He's partially burned and he's on the ground unconscious, and you see the chimera that has just kind of driven into this thing and is now on the ground, prowling next to it, kind of prepared. Fios pulling himself up out of some rubble and column that he was thrown into. And there's only one thing left to go in this round, which is Skotos itself. Oh boy. I think it would want to try and go for one of the people that has an Eidolon out, because it's been dealing with Eidolons for a long time. And so it is going to go after. This is Magdalena. She feels like there's a little bit of her in there that feels like, yeah, I know how to deal with my own brother. And so it is going to go for Fios. So the Phoenix is going, it knows not to target that. It knows if it can sever the connection between Endarch and Eidolon, that it will reign supreme, because the Eidolons need those anchors. And so it turns away from the Chimera and from the Phoenix and from Krissa, from everything, and it just becomes this tidal wave, this undulating force over to where you are picking yourself up, Fios, and it is just going to try to subsume you. And that is the action it is going to take. And I'm going to build a dice pool really quick here.
Help.
I have 3 dice because I have scale. That is a 17 that you have to overcome here. Please describe to us how you are trying to overcome this.
It is coming down like just a swarm of it. Where am I kind of positioned? Am I like on steps or something?
Yeah,
or...
you're kind of like in the stands. You knocked into a pillar that kind of tumbled, so you're like in some rubble. You've managed to get yourself up, but it's like you get up, brush yourself off, turn around, and there's a black tidal wave coming to devour you.
All right, in that case,
Wednesday.
I need to like jump onto the big pillar that's fallen across the stands, and essentially surf it down out of the way.
Yes. You sure try. I love it.
I do all this kind of like free running stuff out there on the borders. This is how you get around, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna use Scout for that one, I think. Scout and Grace is definitely what I'm going for.
Absolutely.
Keen-eyed water, and this is, like I said, it's the thing that we do. We jump around, we move quickly and as far out of the way of danger as we can. So that'll also be keen-eyed warden of the borders.
Love it.
And then as I'm doing this, can I try to pull the Eidolon back into me? Can I release it and let it disperse?
I mean, you wrote the rules, but I think, yes, you can end it at any time.
I think it takes a while to just go away. That's the thing I want you to double check for me, if you don't mind.
Have the correct page open, even. The endarch may dismiss the great eidolon at any time, is what you have written here. So I think you can, in this moment, like this adrenaline, you're like, I desperately need this power, and describe how this phoenix falls apart so that this energy can come back.
Like when you said something, like when you've got like a almost like a burning blimp where the only thing left is the ribs of it and the kind of the frame. A lot of the internal stuff is just sort of winking out of the way of this thing, so it becomes like this big last pieces of a wicker shape, and that all just collapses and falls and dissipates and goes away, and it just like lands in pieces. The flame goes out, and then it's going to come into my eyes now, as opposed to anything else. I'm just going to put the eyes up and jump on here and try and skin away. This is going to be super difficult though. So but I'm not actually using any powers.
Are you sure? You got flight and stuff.
I guess I could put flight in there. Yeah, I'll do that. But it's
you get to the end of it and you have to do a sick jump. Hey, you finally did the pole vault.
I think I'll do that. Also to propel me down there too, right? So like, hey. So we'll throw that in there. Why not?
You need all the extra dice you
I do. I do need a lot of help. I've got no scale die.
Hopefully you roll well enough that you can just spend. Ooh, that's just rude.
What did you get? 21?
I got a 17, so you just need a plot point, which I know you have.
I do have a plot point, and I'm going to move that down to there. 22.
And not only is that a success, it's a heroic success. That is how sick this is. So please, yes, we know that you're going down this, but as you're going down, this thing is waving over you. Describe it from that moment forward.
Okay, so I'm so terrified of this thing. If this hits me, I'm dead, right? That's the last thing I want to do. So I'm reaching out. The thing starts to extinguish the Eidolon, and as it goes out, and I'm ducking around and jumping and landing on the thing and sliding, the eyes come up on flame. Kind of a mantle of flame, almost like the wings, but not quite, builds behind me and just rockets me down the side of it, and then I'm just out over the arena. And whatever it is, it just hits where I was, but I'm gone.
Yeah, it hits this wave of it, so hits against this wall because it can't turn around that fast. Now it's kind of waving back around. You're up in the air. Chris is in the air. That is the end of the round, and it went last, so it chooses who goes next, which it's going to choose itself. And as it comes back, it sees that, okay, those are far away, but Churro's down in these stands. And so what it does is it takes the shape, it quickly becomes the shape of the Hydra, the enemy of the Chimera, kind of pulling it as much as that. It looks very much like a very misshapen version of that. The heads aren't quite right, and, the tail's a little bit weird, and it's coming towards you to just kind of snap at you and bite and eat you. And I'm actually going to give you, because you have spent all these episodes developing a connection with Kofaya, who is the Hydra Endarch, who has kind of had her power stolen, I'm going to give you an asset here. I'm going to give you a bonus D8 asset to represent your, whatever that relationship is with Kofaya, because she is not going to let this thing, do this as a Hydra. So you can decide how she interacts in that way, but she will help you if you would like to use that die. But I'm going to roll an attack against you, in action against you, which is these dice and one of these dice and 1 6 for your stress. Woo!
Ooh, damn!
21.
Oh, okay.
Tasty.
All right. So I did say I did promise myself that if you'd made any move with Kofaya to be romantic towards Churro, I would commission artwork of Churro and Kofaya. So I'm definitely gonna do that. So it would probably be that this beast is like hurling towards Churro as he has his leg stuck and can't quite get into a defensive position. And then Kofaya is able to like stop it for just a moment before.
She like throws something, you know, that moment where somebody's like, I don't have any powers right now, but I can throw something and be like, hey, dummy. And
like
she's now, because she doesn't have power,
yeah.
she's lost that confidence. So she doesn't have anything like snide to say, but she is just like, hey, that's not what I look like. And just distracts it for that moment. It kind of turns and starts to move towards her a little bit before remembering she doesn't have any power. But that gives you an opening. How do you use it?
We're gonna throw hands. So we're just gonna go.
Best defense is a good offense.
Yep, we're gonna take it by its stupid jaws and then throw it across the room if possible. So
give it a try.
Warrior vigor. We're gonna do strong-armed grappler.
Heck yeah.
And then I don't have any powers, but I do have, what was the asset? D6?
A D8.
D8, okay.
Yeah.
So then adding a D8. Yeah. Then adding a D8 and
thankfully you have plot points to add more to your total, you know.
Yeah.
So just roll well on all of the dice. Not a big ask.
Question. Can I have 2 plot points. Could I use one of them to increase Kofaya's asset from a D8 to a D10?
So you cannot, if I had rolled an opportunity, you could buy it that way. You can also spend a plot point to just create a D6 asset. But you might be better off saving them to spend on making your total bigger if you roll well.
That works. Okay. So then I'm gonna go ahead and roll this and see what it gets. 7. Oh no! So 17.
You had 2 plot points.
That's true. All right. So I will spend those 2 plot points.
Y'all getting just enough that if you spend all your plot points, that you just make it. Because this thing turns.
You want us to burn all the resources is what you want.
Yeah, right? It's like, oh, good job, guys. Now.
A little bit. It stops, it turns towards Kofaya for just a moment, allowing you to, instead of moving away, you close the distance. And because it's made these, you know, longer, thinner heads instead of this kind of massive shape that it was, there's something for you to grab and describe it from there.
It'll try to grab at Kofaya as maybe she gets stuck or trips or something like that, and then he'll come in and just grab it by its jaws, and then just like is able to manhandle it and throw it across the room or something like that, or just like away as it. You
get this incredible force behind this, and you're like just pulling this head, and like the neck, because it's not an actual hydra, as you pull, it just kind of elongates, and it's turning this whole body into a longer, thinner thing, allowing you to sort of kind of wrap it up in some ways and throw it. And it's able, as it lands and splats, it's no longer necks and limbs. It is just a blob again, and it reforms. But you managed to definitely avoid taking any damage. That was its 2 turns in a row. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Manoa. You're next.
All right. So I have found this tapestry piece. And I would like to read the instructions and do what it says on the tin.
Yeah, I mean, you've got that D10, Skotos' Bane. So you just feel like, yes, I can either trap it or destroy it. One's going to be harder. And so whatever you do here that you're thinking this is what's going to defeat this, you get to add that asset to it.
I'm going to trap it. I'm going to try and trap it.
Cool. I like it. So yeah, you can definitely find, you know, there's relics here that you can easily, you remember your teachings and you're like, this would be the perfect cage. It would be so much better than, you know, that armband. You know, it can't be worn for one. It's like, you know, a little, you know, like an urn or something. And unfortunately, it is also one of those valuable things. So Penthesilea is holding it and is like, no.
Yes, though. Like, yes. I can either take it by force or you can give it to me willingly.
She's very, very frustrated by that, but you have this urn. How are you getting up there?
That's a really good question.
Would you like to summon your Eidolon?
Yeah, I think I will. It'll also provide a really good distraction for Skotos. Like
totally
new Eidolon. I want it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you summon one, like it gets built out of kind of the things around you. So you're in this cave right now. There's kind of treasure around you, and then it goes up into the Colosseum where there is columns and decor that they use in fake grasses and stuff. How does the Minotaur form?
So I'm gonna infuriate Penthesilea even further because the horns of my Minotaur are made from the treasure in this room.
Yeah.
So it forms like it rises from the ground, and like the horns form first, and then the snout of the Eidolon, and I actually like will sit myself on the snout just super cutely. And then it just kind of rises, and like the the columns form fingers, and the rubble just kind of forms. It's a crude, but I also am an artist, so I'm like as it's rising, I'm like picking things that I want to be a part of my Eidolon, and altogether it looks very, I don't know, like Greek Art Deco.
I love it. I love it so much. I'm just quickly reading something in the book. Yeah, cool. So this comes up, and it is huge. Again, like we've said, these are massive beings. So like you're sitting on the snout, it is just rising up, and easily, it can climb out of this hole. And Penthesilea, who is just trying to like, no, not that too, and just trying to like gather the treasure as it gets built into the Minotaur. But yeah, she's kind of like hanging onto the tail as it pulls itself up and out of here. And you are sitting on it, and you look about, and you can see as this thing has just kind of been tossed to the side in the moment that you come up, and it reforms itself. And you can see Churro is there, looking super tough, muscles glowing. You see the Chimera, you see above you Krissa and Fios, and you see in the stands people who look frightened, and then one person who was panicking a moment ago, but seeing the Minotaur come up and seeing who's on its snout, Demetra, is looking at you and is hopeful for a moment. And in that connection, the Skotos creature realizes that connection because it's so good at finding those things. And it reforms itself and starts to climb up to where Demetra is.
Oh, heck no. We can't have that.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do this roll here that you want to do. So it's an action reaction, so you roll first.
Okay. So I've got that D10 Skotos' Bane. Let's go Priest. Let's go. I'm actually going to use Courage here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a D6, but Minoa is a little scared. And then we're going to go Minotaur's Metallark. Oh, and I don't have any powers because I summoned my Eidolon, right? Okay.
I will say that if instead of the Minotaur getting a turn, if you would like it to directly help you in this, you could use instead, you would get a D8 scale die. So getting to use 3 dice in your total, and you add an extra D8.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Because I'm sure my Eidolon like can fight, but like my Eidolon doesn't fight, which is a thing. So do I add another D8 or do I just...
So add another D8, and then when you roll that, you're going to drag another die down into that total. It'll only pick 2 for you automatically. But yeah, you get that extra D8, and kind of describe like, this is definitely like your mode of transportation. So that is definitely helping. But if there's anything else special that it's doing, describe that for us.
I think Skotos is on its way to Demetra. I think it's just going to move and interpose itself.
Yeah, totally.
That's like, no, not
you
her.
Get in there, and then you're on top of it with this urn, and you roll. And do you have any plot points left?
I do not.
All right.
I can't see my roll anymore.
Oh, no. It was a 10 total D10 effect die. You did have a hitch, which I am going to buy. So you have a plot point now. You can't spend it in this phase, but you can spend it later. And I'm going to give you a D6 courage stress as you look this thing in the face, and it is like looking into the nothingness of eternity. And I'm going to roll for it to try and defend against what is happening. Because that D10 effect, I'll tell you, if you succeed in this, and you had another die there.
Yeah, so that's what I was. I couldn't see my roll, so I couldn't add it in.
Yeah. So it was 10. The hitch was on a D8. Let's say it was I'll give you 4, because that's halfway in a D8, which you had a bunch of.
Okay.
So 14, we'll say, is what your 3 die total was. If you succeed here, a D10 is enough to cleanse this corruption because it's at a D8 right now of corruption.
Okay.
So like if this role is very important for me as an evil GM person, you've got that stress. 10, 8, 8, 6. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Rolling these dice, gonna roll real good. No, I'm sure not gonna roll good. I'm not gonna roll good at all. I rolled like a trash monster. I rolled an 8, which is also 5 below 14 too. So that D10 effect I steps up to a D12. So the Minotaur interposes itself and you are sitting up on the snout. It is kind of like face to blobby malformed face directly together, and you can see in it just all of these pieces of other endarchs and other eidolons inside of it. There's even pieces of another essence of the Minotaur, so it's already taken some of the power from your eidolon, and it stares at you. And what happens?
And so as my eidolon is interposing itself between Demetra and Skotos, I've got the urn open in front of it because it's got a top. And all I say is, I belong here. You don't.
And as you say that, and everybody else around you realizing what is happening, just feeling the pull from their eidolons telling them to help in this moment, we kind of do that anime zoom in on Churro, and what do you do or give to help with what's happening?
And this is true, not the Chimera Eidolon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, even as you do this, like your eidolon comes back inside of you. You have those powers again because it's whispering to you to help.
Perfect. Okay. I'm gonna play off of the Kofaya throwing a javelin or something like that to help out or something. And I'm gonna say that he picks up that javelin and like, can I anime run up the putty monster at all?
Totally.
Okay.
It's hard, but I mean, you're an eidolon. You got all your powers back. You can even shapeshift, your feet to have better grip on sticky things.
Yeah.
And that javelin begins to glow as you do this, as your eidolon, gives it this extra bit of energy. Krissa, what are you doing or giving to help?
Flying above here, I fly across and I see just out of the corner of my eye, just from motion, one of the Phoenix guards, and it just does make me remember something that the guard had said about this weird goop in the corner of the hallway the other day, and my buddy, absolutely terrified, like screamed like a little child, and I don't know what it does to that thing. Didn't seem to like it. I would like that asset to be phonophobia.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would like to screech, much like I screeched at the thing before and it shrank, and I put the 2 and 2 together, and I would like to deadly screech.
And it is a higher screech than you have ever had before, and nobody can hear it. It's there, but only the creature seems to be absolutely terrorized by it. Fios, what do you do or give to help?
So I've been setting over the arena, right? As everything's been moving on, people have come up. I see the Minotaurs come out, and I think, well, I've got the power of the Eidolon back in, but it's time to try to weigh in and take this out and help that situation get better. So I think I'm going to lay down just flames behind the Skotos to sort of even more
trapped.
Force it in. Yes, right. There's nowhere to go.
Trapped. This sound is going through it and kind of causing all of the atoms in it to separate. There is Churro running up it with this javelin. You bring it down into sort of the back of, its head area. And as you do, this light shoots out, and this open urn that, Manoa, you have focused all of your own energy into as well, begins to just pull all of this energy, and you just see as this blackness gets twirled and sucked inside, and it cries in this horrible sound. And then as it all enters, the lid just snaps shut. The Minotaur has been shrinking as this happens, as you've been putting this energy in. The others are gone as well, but as this happens, as that last bit of energy goes in, you can also see these just reflective, shiny bits of energy in the shape of, a hydra's many heads, in the shape of the wyvern's crocodilian head, all just vaguely making these shapes moving through. And you see going into Kafaya and the wyvern teenager and all of these people getting their powers back, into Hector. Hector gets his chimera powers back. Everybody is getting their power back. You have all saved the day. And Magdalena is laying there on the ground, this tiny form compared to everything else that has been going on around you all. Barely conscious and just murmuring, madly frustrated. No, 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 no. No, none of you deserve it. You don't deserve it. Power.
I know. That's why no one's going to have it.
And the guards kind of move in, surrounding her. She wasn't going to be able to do much of a fight anyways. And it takes some time. And everybody, of course, has taken the lesson that clearly we don't do this kind of thing. We don't all come together in one place. So the decathlon has been called off. It is not going to be completed. However, you four, your names are whispered across Regnium as everybody prepares to leave, gets their people together to go. And as all of this is happening in the crowd, Demetra breaks out of it, finds you, Manoa, wraps her arms around you. Says, I'm so mad at you, but I'm so proud of you. And she's kind of sobbing into your shoulder, holding you, and looks up and sees Chris there. And has that face of recognition. She's kind of been watching what's going on, so she's not surprised to see you, but just seeing you there and not flying and not being a siren, just being there as a person. And she reaches out her other arm, like inviting you into this hug. She's like, I'm sorry. I hug her. And Churro, as you prepare to leave, Hector, he's burned, but he's gotten some aid. He's going to be okay. He's very happy to use this as a great excuse to not be a champion anymore. And anybody who comes over to talk to him about how brave he is, he redirects them towards you as the champion of the Chimera, the champion of all, and all of the amazing things that you did. And really, he's your hype man now. But as you pack up to go, Kafaya comes over to say goodbye. So, I mean, we're mortal enemies. If that's a thing.
Well, I mean, like, we're not mortal enemies. Like, we can be cool with each other. Like, you've been always super cool to me. So, I mean, like, for the most part. Like the time you tried to help me find a Korean barbecue or Chimera barbecue. Or
yeah,
like,
sorry about that. I was definitely going to jump you and try to kill you or, take you out of the competition. If I'm being honest, I think that maybe we should look, I'm interested in you, and I think we should start from a place of honesty. So I was trying to jump you.
Well, I can't blame you for trying. I know I'm physically intimidating and like super, super like incredible. So like it makes sense. So, but I forgive you. That's all good. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. We can talk
and
more.
You're such a loser. And then she like grabs kind of the top of your kite and kisses you.
He'll tippy toe and then and kiss back. Yeah.
It has to like pull you up. But yeah, she's like, you stop talking. Oh God. Fios. You are the Novarch. You are celebrated as a hero now, but at the same time, your sister has brought the opposite kind of attention to your family.
I want
You've been given.
call,
Oh, go ahead.
I want to call the other Novarchs. There's 2 other Novarchs, right?
Yep.
I need them. Look, we have that one room that I was
Yeah,
in.
you absolutely like we cut, from like if everybody's getting ready to leave, and we see as we're kind of going through the city, Manoa and Krista, Pensathaliah, as like the Minotaur had like come apart, some of the treasure survived, and so she's like definitely has a sack of it, and she's like giving a thumbs up to Krista that like at least it wasn't all a wash. So we see these different things happening, and Demetra's there with the both of you, and then we go inside to that temple room where there are those 3 thrones, the fire, the like line of coal that lights in fire, and you are there.
Brothers, sisters, siblings in the Phoenix. I know that I wasn't expected, and I know that I certainly wasn't who you thought you were going to be spending this week of festivities with. But I also didn't expect my sister to be involved in the way she was. I want to call her ahead. I want to call her in here. I think we need to have that moment.
You have proven yourself. We will do this as a favor. But what happens to her after must be a vote between us. And they do bring her in. So you are up with those other 3. They bring her in. She's no longer in her priestess's robes. She, kneels before the thrones, looking ragged and angry still.
Magda, before this judgment passed by the 3 of us on you, maybe you can explain just a little bit on what the heck happened. What happened to you?
I heard the voice of something so much greater than we've ever known. And I listened to it. And everything was so clear. And the opportunity was right there. You don't deserve your power. You lucked out. Only those that are worthy deserve power. You may have stopped Skotos for right now, but history repeats, and it never rests for long. And is where we're going to end Eidolon Alpha, Dekathlon. Thank you all for tuning into this series. It's been delightful to have you watching with us. If you want to try Eidolon Alpha out for yourself, you can find it in the Cortex Prime Game Handbook. Right now, it's one of the 3 settings you can try in there. I love it so much. It's my favorite one that's in there. Super fun. And not only was it delightful to have you all watching, but these 4 players, it has been incredible jamming for you and your creativity and your wonderfulness. So one last time, and make sure those of you watching write it down this time. Sam Delev, hi, where can we find you on the internet?
Well, when I'm not hunting treasures and making mischief friends, I can be found as a role-playing performer and variety streamer throughout the Twitchernet. My regular schedule is available on my Twitch About page. That's twitch.tv/Delevely, DELEBELY. And on my Twitter for all of my one-offs and special events at Tchaikovsky, ChaiKovsky.
Excellent. And Latia.
Hit me. You can find me and all of the random nonsense that I do on Twitter at Latia Jacquise, LATIA Go me. Sam is a wonderful, wonderful influence. Happy Thanksgiving. I suppose. I mean, we're all going to say it, except for Melly. It's not Thanksgiving for Melly or Cam, but happy Thanksgiving.
Excellent. DeAngelo.
Hey everyone, my name is DeAngelo Murillo, and you can find me on Twitch .tv and on all social media at @that_DeAngelo. I'm a writer, tabletop RPG performer, and like game designer, and all these different things. And yeah, I always post like different kinds of content. Always trying to my best to help out with diversity and inclusion in our geek community. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Cam Banks.
Well, I am thankful today, as we often say this time of year, for all the things that have been heaped upon my plate. And I would say that I'm most thankful for all their voices and new faces that I am seeing coming through the TTRPG space, people who don't look like me. It's one of the best things ever. You can find me in said space at Boy Monster on Twitter and Instagram at Rusty Sellsword. But please do join us at the Discord for Cortex RPG. If you love this show and you love everything about Cortex, share your ideas, your mods, your fun with us. And the more of you who do that, the more of a chorus we make.
Absolutely. I am Millie DSet. You can catch me on Twitter at MillieDM and also all over that Cortex Discord. So you can come hang out with me there. I'm actually running a special Tales of Xadia tale over there on Saturday. It is going to be a very not action play. It's a harvest cook-off. And it's going to be very fun. I have a couple spots left, so definitely come sign up. And next week, we're going to be back here for some more Roll and Keep. We're going to be going back to Xadia there as well. Cam Banks is coming back into the narrator chair. I'm going to get to play. I'm very excited. And we're going to have the incredible Elisa Pearl, Fenway Jones, and B. Zelda for that show. I'm so pumped. It's a delight. Cam, can you give us any hints about what we might be able to expect from our Tales of Xadia holiday special?
Well, I think you all need to be making your lists and checking them twice, is all I'm going to tell you.
Oh, boy. I'm very excited. It's going to be great. Those people are amazing, and it's going to be very, very fun. So check us out then that same time next week. And until then, take care and catch you all later. Have a good one.